United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and all.
Rachel, if you can call roll, please. Here.
Here.
Thank you very much. Wanted to make an announcement that an executive session was held on December 6th, 2023 at 6 p.m. to discuss legal matters with the solicitor. Council, is there a motion to approve tonight's agenda?
I shall move to approve tonight's agenda.
Is there a second? Any discussion? All in favor of the agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Agenda is approved. We'll now move on to public comments, and we encourage all those speaking to come to the podium and speak into the microphone since we are transmitting on Zoom. Complete your comments within 3 minutes. Stay on topic. Present your comments in a spirit of cooperation and collaboration.
Cheryl Watson, 523 Magnolia Street in Kennett Square, Pennsylvania. I come to address I had more to address on Monday, but we'll do that in January with a new council sitting here. Not to say I don't appreciate everything sometimes, but the only thing I've appreciated when other people have run this meeting, it hasn't been the type of pressure or harassment or shortchanging the time that when Doug Dorfer's here. People notice that. I don't care how strong what you don't like to hear coming from me. That antagonistic stuff the other day, and she almost made it, chief. I've seen impish students before and dealt with them. So it doesn't hurt my feelings. But you have to understand too, I am 73. Some of you are children compared to me. At least you shouldn't jeer. I don't jeer. And if you ever pay attention to me, I'm to the point and I'm on the topics of this town. I didn't say you were an old fart. I didn't say you were ugly. I didn't call you out your name. I didn't curse nobody or use wrong terminology in any way or talk about your family. I don't talk about what you own, what you have. Some of that has come out in public towards me. And what we own is our business. And it was been hard work and money, and there's a paper trail everywhere to show it. So I want to tell you that I will not tolerate that. And to say I can't speak, in case you didn't know what the civil rights movement was about, it was about constitutional rights. White America stamping on Black voice for years, privileges, rights, and Cajunness. I told a boss once, so I don't have no problem telling the people here, you're not going to tell me how to speak or what I write down and send to your superior or to somebody past here. A lot of my people didn't even have that privilege. Don't ever talk to me. This got to stop. And that was false narrative because it didn't put anybody down. But I'm still telling you, heads have to roll. You have too many employees, paying them too much. You're administratively top heavy. And we were supposed to hire a borough manager that could do it all. And that hasn't happened. And you're going to say, well, we better do this or that. And you're hiring other people, like I said, $150,000 packages. We can't afford that. And it is possible that one man can do that job. Because I've lived here all my life almost, native. And we've had borough managers that knew everything. And they were one person. And they knew what all of their chairmen of the other departments were doing, and they could discuss the amount of supplies needed by the public works, whether it was sand, salt, macadam, who the contracts were going to go out to. They would know what the administrative assistant was doing, whether she was bringing a newsletter out, whether she was going to have a paper shredder, whether large pickup was going to happen in the spring and fall, and that hasn't happened. I'm saying you better get to the serious motives and stop making fun of people and listen to the bark. Because that's what you're not doing, and I'm on point. So to tell me, and that gotta stop, don't try to correct me, because I'm serious. That's what you've aroused in me. That I'm gonna rise up. Everything that's happened in my life, I rise up. And I'm like a piece of iron. There's not too much you can do with me, but you're gonna pay attention to what I say, whether you like it or not. Please get on to the parking down there at Bavarian. We can't see a thing. I called Holsworth today, Chief Holsworth today. It's totally blind. I've told the mayor about it before. I've told the chief about it before. We cannot see. I almost got hit today. We can't see if you take 3 spaces away, because if a truck's in the 4th one, we can't see. That is totally blind. I got pictures of that too, by the way, as well as the pictures down on State Street when they park in the left-hand lane of a public highway and we can't move. It's not our fault you let somebody build into the setbacks, into the right-of-ways, because that's what happened here. And that's never supposed to be. So somebody better get on it. The last thing I gotta say, I love Christmas lights, but we can't appreciate ours in Kent because you got too much light pollution. Too much. And the light pollution that I saw that was the worst, I forget where it was at, and I was saying, they got to do something about it. From here, like I said before, to Oxford, bright lights. You country bumpkins better know what urban planning is since you're in it. And it's so that your light doesn't spread to the next person. But the lights were somewhere in this town and they're blazing terrible. And why did you have Mary DeLange put that many lights in and they're only 1 block and we got street lights? Somebody better get a hold of something since you people know how to plan it. You got all these capital projects. You better know what they entail.
Thank you, Ms. Watson. Any other public comments?
Cool. Any youth membership. Youth membership is missing.
Hello, Nick Perigo, 812 South Walnut Street, Hornblende Avenue, where the new homes were built. There's one empty lot in my neighborhood that's down at the corner. It's really deplorable. The weeds are growing. There's trash in it. And as a matter of fact, if you go down Hornblende, where it reaches South Street, the weeds of it's the sight line is not very good. I reached out to the realtor. I actually called him and he, to clean up the lot. And he said, okay, can you email me and he'll pass it on to the owner. And that was about 3 or 4 months ago. And I never heard back. I just sort of did it on my own, hoping that they would respond. But now I'm at the point I was hoping that codes or borough council could help and reach out to that individual and say, cut the grass, clean up. There's like a bathtub laying there and there's a big hole and it's just been deplorable. So if you could help me out, that'd be great.
Thanks, Mr.
Thank
Perigo. Any other public comment? Being none, we'll move on to the consent agenda. This is the items from Monday night that have been moved to consent. Council, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So move.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Any discussion? Being none, all in favor of approving the consent agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Consent is approved. We'll move on to the items needing further discussion. The first is the 2024 Fire and EMS Service Agreement with Longwood Fire Company. Kyle, are you kicking this off?
Sure, I'll give a brief intro. This is a service agreement for 2024 proposed between the borough and Longwood Fire Company. And just a thank you to the company and to our attorney for working through it. Do you want to give some details on it, Mr. Rongus?
So the agreement is for 1 year. The terms of the agreement specifically in summary indicate that in return for providing fire and EMS services to the borough of Kennett Square, that the borough will pay $751,738.02 for the cost of EMS and fire services. In addition to that cost, there will be an additional $13,204, which is by law required for the designated fire company to pay the workers' compensation insurance for the fire companies, for the firefighters, the volunteer firefighters. And pursuant to the agreement, the municipality will be duly recognized in Kennett Fire Company #1 for purposes of workers' compensation insurance. In return for those services, it basically just becomes a general services contract after that. The borough is not taking on any additional liability for any of the fire company's services between Longwood, Kennett Fire Company #1, and Pomar Lynn. And it is for, we maintain our immunity as provided as a municipality under the law. So it worked out to be a pretty good contract for purposes of protecting the borough.
Thank you, Mr. Rangus. Any questions from council, from Mr. Rangus or Kyle?
Mr. President, I think, I think it's a good contract. As most folks know, we worked diligently with the commission to continue to be part of the commission. While this is a contract with Longwood Fire Company, it treats the borough as if it was still in the commission with the same pricing, the same services, the same folks, which personally I'm thrilled about, and hopefully to continue to grow, you know, a much stronger relationship between the borough and those folks in the audience and at home that provide an awful lot of service and safety for us. So thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Norris. Is there a motion to approve the service agreement with Longwood Fire Company?
Motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second, any discussion from council?
I would additionally just like to thank the fire companies for working with us to come to this contractual agreement. And I look forward to working as a borough as early as the beginning of next year to iron out our coverages moving forward to from 2025 and further.
Anything else from council? Being none, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Now we're on to the YMCA Community Pool Proposal. Mr. Norris, I know you mentioned a couple items, and we had Mr. Legere from the Y to present their side as well, and I think we've come to a pretty nice agreement. I don't know if you have anything to kick off here, or Kyle, if you were gonna kick this off.
No, again, the Y has has worked with us to come up with what we think is a fair sharing of the pool, with them maintaining the liability and the capital expenses and the operational management of the pool. While it's not 100% of what we asked for, it's certainly 85 or 90%. And I think it's a very fair agreement for the borough, our residents, and even those that not necessarily can afford to join the pool. There's also options at a reduced rate to get into the pool. And it also gives us the opportunity to use the pool at a minimum of twice each season as just a nice community-free a pool day or evening or picnic, something to that effect. So I think it's a fair agreement. I certainly support it. Thank you.
And before we get whether we support it or not, let's get a motion on the table. Is there a motion to accept the proposal?
I'd be happy to make that motion.
Thank you. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Carver. Council discussion.
I would just ask some clarification. What we're actually voting on now is not a contract per se, but something that is a general term sheet so that the Y can put out their advertisements of what is the plan to go forward in 2024. And having said that, there's still the possibility that we could ask them to include a junior membership or something of that like.
Yep. Yeah, I think that it's very important that this is a starting point. I think it's a good starting point, good discussions with the YMCA, but we don't want to just approve this and let it go, because we don't want to be down the road saying, whoa, this is the issue again. So
We should definitely work on getting an actual contract done, obviously before Memorial Day.
Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, Mr. Kanji's here. Did you get a chance to see the term sheet? Are you guys familiar with the framework? Okay. I pointed out Mr. Cannell and Mr. Perigo as they were the ones that initiated the petition and got a lot of community involvement around the issue and were passionate enough to bring it to council's attention to make sure that it didn't fall by the wayside. And I think we've had good discussions there. It's leaps and bounds what it was this year. Right? I mean, it's leaps and bounds. It's not perfect. I think we're going to be able to continue to get there. There's still a lot of work to do, but it's tenfold better than what it was. So I think it's the right direction. Mr. Perigo. Thank you both. Anything else from council?
I was just going to add the last thing for me was I'm freely willing to admit that in the 12 years that I've lived in the borough, I had no idea that, or for the longest time, up until recently, I had no idea that the outdoor pool was in any way related to Kennett Borough itself, because it just says YMCA all over it. So one of the things that I would like to bring up to them moving forward as we finalize this is a signage change. Something that says Kennett Community Pool and then managed by the YMCA, much smaller than it's saying Kennett Community Pool over that. But that's just something that I would encourage us to pursue.
We talked about, just for folks that weren't here, we talked about many different things for access for folks that can't afford it. Ms. Zavala brought up using something similar to the way Longwood Gardens provides access to folks. I mentioned the way that the library provides free passes to Longwood Gardens, that maybe there could be 4 or 6 reusable or transferable memberships, so folks could go up and just borrow it for the day. It doesn't require then everybody, for them to have 20 freebies that day, but if it's the same number, there's a way to kind of keep reusing it. So I think and the Y seems very open to those things. So I think by the time we get to Memorial Day, we'll be at a place where we can all feel pretty good about it.
Anything else from council? No other discussion. All in favor of accepting the pool proposal for summer 2024, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to the adoption of the 2024 budget. I know that we've had numerous readings of this. It's been posted for the public per requirements, and we had some discussion on Monday. So unless there's any new questions or clarifications, I'll entertain a motion to approve the 2024 budget.
I will make a motion to approve the 2024 budget.
Second that.
There's a second. Any council discussion? All that's been said, been said. All in favor of approving the budget, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Budget for 2024 is passed. And then lastly, considering the adoption of ordinance establishing 2024 borough tax rate. Again, this was brought up on Monday night and discussed, but we just left this as an open item tonight if there were any last minute items. If there's no questions or clarifications, I'll entertain a motion to approve the ordinance establishing the borough tax rate for 2024.
I'll make the motion.
Holding my breath there, Bob. Is there a second? All right, there's a second. Any council discussion? All right, all in favor of establishing the borough tax rate for 2024, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. And that is the end of our business. I know that, Mr. Mayor, it looks like you have some proclamations, but before that, just wanted to ask for any last minute comments from council.
As usual, just wanted to say on behalf of the council members that are remaining and all those that have served, the dedication, Myra, that you and Doug have put into this borough, for no cost, no remuneration, lots of heartache and difficult decisions, the amount of hours that you put in, most people have no idea. And Nick, who's a former council person, knows, what a serious endeavor it is, way more time committed than most people, I think, realize. And we don't always agree with each other's decisions, but we certainly are admirable and grateful for the service that you've given to the borough while you've been here. Thank you very, very much.
Thanks so much, Bob. Anything else? All right, any last minute words?
No, I mean, I think for me, it's been a really meaningful opportunity to serve the community that I grew up in and love dearly. There have been some wins. There's also been numerous opportunities where I feel like we haven't met the level of desired impact that we wanted to achieve. But my hope going forward is that we'll continue to work towards participated decisions. We'll invite input from others from all areas of our community. And even when those voices, thanks everybody. I hope that we'll be able to come together to find solutions.
Thanks so much, Myra. I'll just say, it has been a pleasure to serve this community. And I'm gonna leave it at that, other than this is a great staff. And I appreciate every single one of you. Thank you all for what you do. You guys make this town run, and the whole community appreciate it. Kyle, well done in your first couple of years. It was a pleasure to hire you, and I've loved to see how you've grown. Mr. Mayor, thank you for everything that you do for this borough as well. And a true pleasure. That being said, I'm not going to adjourn yet. I'm going to turn it over to you, Mr. Mayor.
Before we do the proclamations, I will just mention on the budget and the and on the tax ordinance that I will sign and approve both of those tonight so that they'll be official. I know that this council worked incredibly hard on this budget, and it was very not easy. It was not easy raising taxes. I know the staff put in an incredible amount of time and effort, and there was a lot of give and take in many departments. And at the end of the day, increasing our taxes to provide more money for public safety, while it's not easy, is the right thing to do. That we need to provide the tools and resources for fire, EMS, as well as our police department to do what they need to do. And I have no objections on the budget or the tax increase, and we'll sign those both tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
All right, so we have a couple, this is the fun part up here. I don't know, Council, do you all want to come up and stand, and we can, we're going to do a proclamation for both Doug and for Myra. So maybe we could all just stand up here together. I get to read it, but why don't we all come up together? So the first proclamation is honoring Borough Council Vice President Myra Zavala for the Borough Kennett Square. Whereas Myra Zavala was elected as a council member of the Borough Kennett Square, May 6, 2019, and served as Vice President of the Borough Council from August 3rd, 2022 to December 31st, 2023. Whereas Myra Zavala played an integral role in the formation of Ordinance 936, prohibiting discrimination by creating the Human Relations Commission, on which she currently serves, and on the Municipal Relations Committee from May 2019 through December 31st, 2021. And whereas Myra Zavala has been actively involved in the Borough Kennett Square community for many years, and whereas the Borough Kennett Square staff and citizens wish to show appreciation and acknowledgement to Myra Zavala for her service to the Borough Kennett Square. Now, therefore, I, Matthew Fedek, the mayor of the Borough of Kennett Square, on the 6th day of December 2023, by the virtue of the authority of the Borough Code of Pennsylvania pursuant to state and federal law, I hereby express heartfelt thanks and commendations to Myra Zavala for her dedicated service to the Borough of Kennett Square and her commitment to making the borough a thriving and inclusive community. Thank you. All right, and then on to Mr. Durfler. Honoring the Borough Council President Doug Durfler for the Borough of Kennett Square. Whereas Doug Durfler was elected to the Borough Council of the Borough of Kennett Square on January 4th, 2016, and served as president of the Borough Council from February 19th, 2019 to January 6th, 2020, and again from January 3rd, 2022 to December 31st, 2023. And whereas Doug Durfler played an integral role in various committees, including the Municipal Relations Committee, the Fire Control Board, Emergency Management, Public Safety, and Infrastructure Committee, and the Personnel Committee. And whereas Mr. Durfler has been involved in the community for many years and will continue to serve the community through his role as president of the Southern Chester County Chamber of Commerce. And whereas the Borough of Kennett Square staff and citizens wish to show appreciation and acknowledgement to Doug Durfler for his service to the Borough of Kennett Square. Now, therefore, I, Matthew Fedek, the mayor of the Borough of Kennett Square, on the 6th day of December 2023, by virtue of the authority of the Borough Code of Pennsylvania pursuant to state and federal law, hereby express heartfelt thanks and commendations to Doug Durfler for his dedicated service to the Borough of Kennett Square and his commitment to make the borough a thriving and inclusive community. Thanks, Doug.
And Doug, if I may, on behalf of your fellow council members and the mayor, we just wanted to give you a little piece of Kennett to remember as our gratitude for the extra time and effort as our president. Thank you, Doug. Thank you.
So we have one more recognition tonight. And so Chief, why don't you come over here? And for the members of the department, both on duty and off duty, I want you to come stand with us because it's you guys, I want you to be seen as well. Tonight, we get to recognize the chief for 25 years of service as a police officer in the Borough of Kennett Square. I will tell you that 25 years in police work itself is a long service. 25 years in the same town is a long service. But beyond that, it's a whole family involvement. Your family has to be willing to allow you to be gone on holidays and nights and weekends and miss all those things together. So 25 years is an incredible sacrifice to this town. The one thing I wanted to mention is I'm incredibly proud of you. The chief, when he applied for the position, when Ed Zanino left the department and retired, we had a nationwide search. And we had, I believe, if I remember, 63 applicants. We had multiple applicants that flew in from out of the area. We had folks from Philadelphia, New Jersey. We had an applicant that flew in from Denver, Colorado. And as we worked through all of those candidates, it was so clear at the end that the best person to run our department was already here, right? It can be an assumption that it's great to hire from within. It was not a given when that committee was formed that that role was going to go to Bill. It wasn't a given. And he absolutely earned it. And from the day that he was sworn as chief, he has served us in incredible ways. He is always there, always available. He leads with integrity. I will never forget your leadership during the George Floyd incident in town. I believe that you have continued to honor our residents in many ways. And I'm incredibly proud of you, and I'm incredibly thankful for you and what you do for our town. So here's the proclamation honoring William Holdsworth, Chief of Police of the Borough of Kennett Square for 25 years of service. Whereas Chief Holdsworth began employment with the borough in October 1997 as a part-time patrolman, was promoted to a full-time patrolman in September 1998, promoted to corporal in May of 21, to lieutenant in July of 2016, and to the chief of police in April 2017, the role which he continues to serve in today. Whereas Chief Holdsworth played an integral role in the borough management, serving as one of the 3 interim borough managers, November 2020 till July 2021. And whereas Chief Holdsworth was elected to serve on the executive board of the Chester County Police Chiefs Association in December 2018 as a member at large, in 2020 as first vice president of the association, and in December 2022 was elected as the president of the Chester County Police Chiefs Association. And whereas Chief Holdsworth has been a leader in the training of the Kennett Square Police Department in local philanthropic efforts and in the shaping of Kennett Square community for 25 years and counting. Whereas the Borough of Kennett Square staff and citizens wish to show our appreciation and acknowledge the Chief Holdsworth for his service to the Borough of Kennett Square. Now, therefore, I, Matthew Fedek, the mayor of the Borough of Kennett Square, on the 6th day of December, 2023, by the virtue of the authority of the Borough Code of Pennsylvania, pursuant to state and federal law, hereby express heartfelt thanks and commendations to Chief Holdsworth for his dedicated service to the Borough of Kennett Square's Police Department and his commitment to the borough to make the borough a thriving and inclusive community. Thanks, Chief.
I'm already back.
So I'll let the president officially end the meeting, but we hope that for those of you that are here, will join his family and us in just a little bit of a celebration for his 25 years of service.
Thanks, Matt. That's how I was gonna end it too. Thank you all. Meeting adjourned. Please enjoy some day.
Pretty proud. He's like,
I don't know.
Oh, maybe. You guys did a good job.
You move that.